Hello and welcome to your weekly energetic guidance for the week of July 4th to the 10th. So as you can see, I have finally gotten a new setup. I'm testing things to see how they're going to work, so this might change as well. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any readings. So I do one every week and at the beginning of every month for a deeper dive into that month's energy. I'm curious to see how this new setup's going to go. It already feels better. All right. So let's see what we got. So the first card is the High Priestess. So this is understanding that we are moving through a period this week where the veil is thin. And what that means is that you're going to have easier and more readily available access to information and guidance from your spirit guides, from your higher self, from your intuition, from the universe, from source. However you choose to look at it, you're going to be able to access that information much more easily this week, and it's just going to require you to tune in. So again, action step that goes along with this is just making sure that you're taking, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, to do exactly what this human is doing, and that's closing your eyes, tuning in, and seeing what messages you receive from the universe, seeing what comes through that helps you move through this week, that helps you move through, especially this week, because it's at the very beginning stages of that planning stage that I talked about with the month of July. So make sure that you're tuning in and allowing the universe to guide you, and using your intuition. Allow yourself to be intuitively guided to what makes the most sense in terms of creating that action plan. So I know that everyone, myself included, continues to wait for the time where we aren't going to have some kind of release. But again, as I said in the last reading, I feel like this is just going to be the theme as we're moving through this transition from 3D to 5D, as we're moving through the evolution that humanity is moving through right now, and just releasing everything that no longer serves. And this is the beginning. This is part of what's going to happen through the month of July. This is just the beginning of that. And this card is just telling you that there's going to be some things that come up in terms of mindset, in terms of the stories playing in your head, the thoughts that are coming into your head, how you're choosing to speak about them, and the action steps that you're taking. There's going to be an emotional release that needs to happen there. That probably looks like letting go of behaviors and ways of interacting with other people, with your relationships, that need to be let go. And they're going to be, it's going to be something that you've been doing for probably your entire life. It's going to be a behavior or a way of reacting that's very, very comfortable for you, that it's going to feel like you're potentially losing a piece of yourself. But this piece is, as everything is, it's programmed, and you are allowed to shift and transform and change however you feel guided to and pulled to at the moment. You are allowed to remake yourself every single day, and that's something that to keep in mind with this particular release. And this may not be an easy one for you. So I'll just give you a personal example for myself. One of the ways that I learned to deal with feelings or to express my feelings to somebody else was to get angry and like lose my shit and just yell about things. And that's something that I've been slowly working on changing, but that's something that that's a way of interacting with people that I've had for the majority of my life. And that one's been really difficult for me to let go just because it's so ingrained and it doesn't feel safe to react in any other way. And so this release is just going to be a difficult one for you. I don't feel like it's necessarily going to be like a ugly cry kind of release. I just feel like it's going to be difficult. It's something that you're very attached to. It's a way of behavior, thought pattern, reactions, stories in your head. It's something that you've been holding on really tightly to for a very long time. And so it's just going to be an opportunity that may be extra challenging this week. So watch out for that one coming up. And again, so if you watched the deeper dive into July, you know that that showed the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands, or the Three of Wands, speaks a lot of being able to see things from a wider perspective, from a higher vantage point, so that you can see the obstacles that are coming up with where you want to head. You're planning out like your entire journey. And this is a very, very similar energy. That's the energy of this week, is figuring out like where you're going on your trip. You kind of already figured out in the last week when you did the new moon. If you did a new moon ceremony, if not, that's okay too. But when you set your intentions for where you wanted to go, when you created the contract with spirit, this week is planning like, okay, like what do I need to get there? And how do I create space to get there? So if you decide that you want to go for a trip, you have to take some of your time and dedicate some of your daily lifetime to planning that trip, to planning like the logistics of that trip, where you're going to stay. If you're going to decide that you're going to figure out where you're going to stay when you get there, what kind of transportation you need to book your flights, you need to do all those things when you're planning a trip. And that's very similar to the energy of what we're being asked to do this week, in terms of like, how are you going to get there with the intentions that you've set? And it's not so much in creating the exact action steps that you need to get there. It's more about seeing the general action steps. So you know you're going to need to figure out a place to stay, for example, and you know that you're going to use Airbnb. So maybe you download the Airbnb app and you kind of pick general points. I went to Ireland with my best friend for 3 weeks, and we picked like the general points of where we wanted to stay and had like a general idea, and then we just let the rest of it flow. That's the same thing that you're going to have to do now. You're picking like the general points of where you want to go, but you're not figuring out all of the details of the how. That's what the universe is going to bring to you. And the other piece to this one is that you need to create space in your schedule to take those action steps that you are going to be guided to, that you're going to be intuitively guided to. And that looks like, if, again, just using my own personal schedule as an example, if I'm creating a newsletter, if I want to post on social media, if I want to do these energetic guidance readings, if I want to create all of the other things that I'm trying to create, I need to create space for all of those things individually in my schedule, so that I can see, okay, on Monday, at the end of June, I do all of my energetic readings for the month of July. And so that space is taken up by my energetic readings. And I want to create my newsletter, so I need a chunk of every Monday, every week to do that. So that's the same kind of energy you're going to want to pull into whatever it is that you're creating. You need to actively set aside time for the things that you're trying to create. Because if you don't set aside time for them, if I don't put any time in my schedule for working out, I'm not going to work out. Because I don't have any time to. And that's going to be my excuse at the end of it. Well, I didn't have any time to. This is why you're being guided and asked to pay attention to the guidance that you're receiving intuitively, to release old behaviors. One of those old behaviors might be not taking the time to plan this in your schedule. So keep that in mind. That holds true for someone. I know it holds true for me. And then actually looking at your week, looking at your schedule, and plotting out time to do all of the things that you have set the intentions for. So keep in mind that that includes self-care as well, okay? That isn't just your creation stuff. That isn't just work or business. It isn't just productive out. It's also creating space for how to recharge your energy in, okay? And this is, I should have flipped this card before I said that. This is one of your action steps this week, and it is balance. It's understanding, stability, and standing firm. So that looks like both of her hands are lit up. And for those of you who don't know, the left side of our body is for receiving energy, and the right side of our body is for giving energy. So it's energy in, energy out, and both of her hands are lit up. And that's where the balance is going to come in for you this week, is in understanding that you need to include self-care activities, which would be how you get energy in whatever way, shape, or form that looks like. But you need to balance the energy out with energy in. So the way that I do that in particular is that for every energy out activity, I do an energy in. So I'm going to do all of my energetic guidance readings for the month of July, and then I'm going to meditate. And then I'm going to do another action step out, like create the newsletter that I need to create for today, and then I'm probably going to go for a walk. So you want to make sure that you're really, this week especially, balancing the energy out with the energy in. And our last card is telepathy. So transmission, perception, communication. This action step I've already given you. It goes right along with what we already talked about in terms of the veil being thin and opening yourself up to those messages that are coming through. That's where telepathy is going to come in. But the messages that you're going to receive and the way that this is going to operate for you is going to be in terms of what there is to release and how you are planning out your schedule. So this again looks like probably tuning in through a meditation and just really seeing where you're guided and how you're guided to do this. So I would almost suggest that if things start to come up that feel like they're blocking you, that feel like they're obstacles, that feel like you know that they're old behaviors and stuff coming in, take 10 minutes and meditate on that particular situation and see what comes through as guidance for how to release those things. When it comes to planning your schedule or setting time aside for the activities that or the intentions that you want to create, take 10 minutes before you do this, sit down and meditate and ask for any guidance to come through, and then use that guidance when you're doing this activity. Okay, so those are your action steps for this week, and I hope you guys have a good one.